everyone. Welcome to Real Dads Speak, a show where real dads share their stories about being present in their child's life with the goal of raising responsible adults. I am your host, Sarah McClure, and my guest today is Michael Haygood II, also known as Mick. Mick and I met through my significant other, Tony, who passed away last year, and this podcast is in loving memory of him. Mick is the dad of Tony's grandson, Michael III. And today we're going to talk to Mick about raising a son who lives 45 minutes away. Welcome, Mick. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Good. Now, hopefully, Mick's dad will join us in another half an hour or so, and we'll have our first father and son interview on this podcast.
Should be interesting.
Yes. So in the meantime, we will start off, just get some background information, ask you some basic questions to start off our little interview. So in what city did you grow up?
I grew up in Detroit City.
Okay. All right. What school did you go to?
High school, you mean, or just schools in general?
Yeah. Did you go to a local
I went to Bernie Elementary School, which is on the west side of Detroit.
Okay.
Middle school, I went to Winterhalter Middle School, and I went to Murray Wright High School.
You graduated from Murray Wright?
I did.
Was it Pilots? Is that what you guys are?
Pilots, you already know.
Yeah, it's too many of them that I know. Okay, so moving on. Hope Northwestern. So do you
We
have
neighbors.
do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a younger brother and two older sisters.
Okay. All right. So are you guys close?
I think I'm more closer with my younger brother, but I'm cool with both of my sisters as well. But me and him, we kind of relate a little more. We grew up a little more close knit, just being boys, and
Are they more than 5 years older than you? Is that why?
Right. They're a little more older than me. I think I'm probably 5 years older than my younger brother, but we kind of had that relationship. I got a chance to kind of mold him a little more, and as he got older, he kind of appreciated some of the terror I put him through. we're really close now, though. We vacation together, and we talk often.
Okay, that's nice. So what did your parents do for a living?
Both of my parents work for General Motors.
Okay. All right. Were they administrators or were they in the plant? What did they engineers?
They were in the actual plant.
Okay. All right. So when you guys got together, by both of them working at the plant, I mean, what kind of activities did you do? I know they couldn't wait to relax. So
well, I grew up in a home with just my mom, and then I seen my dad sort of like periodically, like sometimes on the weekends. Say it one more time.
Did they divorce when you were younger?
They never married.
Oh, okay. All right. So you said you saw your dad periodically?
Yeah, periodically. My dad, he worked for General Motors, but he had a lot of side businesses. So he sold like vitamins, he sold flowers. So he was always in my neighborhood. So it was like one of those things, like we had like a local barbershop, and the name of the shop is Brown's Barbershop. He would be at Brown's a lot, which was probably like right up the street from my house. So I would go down, get a haircut. He would get my haircut, and I would get a chance to talk to him and see him then, because he was always moving through the city selling his products.
Okay. Wow. And your mom, did she take you guys like on vacation or send you to the South like some parents had to do, and that was your vacation for the summer? You go stay with your grandma or something like that, or what did you guys?
Well, my grandparents stayed in my neighborhood, so I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house because they lived like maybe 10 minutes away from me. So like that relationship stayed solid. As far as like I had my grandma and grandfather Davis, they were local to me. And then as far as the Haygoods, my grandparents, we had yearly things that we did all the time. Like every year we knew we were going to the auto show. That was like an event we did all the time. And we did like a yearly picnic at Lower Huron Park. So those two activities were like you can put those on the calendar. They were going to happen.
Wow. So you got a big extended family. You got a lot of aunts, uncles, cousins.
Well, on my mom's side, I had a lot of aunts. I probably had maybe 6, 7 aunts who
Okay.
kind of played the role of mom here and there because my mom worked the night shift. So I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house. So that's why I was really close to my mom's side as far as my grandparents, because they kind of played the role of not just grandparents, but parents for us.
Okay. And then on your dad's side,
Well, on my dad's side, I would see them. Like we had those activities that were just scheduled. Like we knew we were doing those, but it was kind of random outside of that. Like my mom made sure we had a relationship. And when my grandma, Haygood, she would always move around the city a lot. If she was on the west side of town, because she stayed on the east, she would make her way to come visit us.
okay.
So we would see her that way.
All right. All right. So, what was your favorite of those? Like y'all had traditional auto show and then the picnic. Did y'all have a favorite family holiday? Did you have a favorite family holiday where all you guys got together?
As far
Like,
as my mom's side of the family, Christmas and
right.
Thanksgiving were my favorites because that brought everybody knew you had to pull up for those. Like the food, the conversation, the gifts, like just having the whole family there. That was just something that I really miss now and as an adult. But as a kid, they were automatic.
And you always, your whole family. Nobody had to. Nobody, like when once people get married, they say, "Well, come to my house." It was standard that your grand.
No, you knew if those two holidays. Well, my grandma Davis, like if she got a crowd at her house, she would just start cooking.
Wow.
So she like they would just entertain like that. It was always food and good conversation. Bible talk, life talk. That was just something that just happened. Like you could just stop by and she'd be like, "Are you hungry? You okay?" Then you be talking to my granddad or be outside with him working on a car. Next thing you know, she's like, "All right, wash your hands. It's time to come eat." And it just what
Wow.
happened.
That's
Like
something.
that was automatic.
That's something that we don't have a lot of today.
And it was no invitation. You didn't have to call. That was like a door that was just always open to you. I could bring a friend. I could bring somebody they never met before. Before it's said and done, you would be very familiar with them, their lifestyle, the food, the conversations, all of that.
That sounds wonderful. I remember those days.
Those
Yeah.
are good days.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So now, were you one of the popular grandkids in the family?
I think I was a little challenging as a kid. So I think I was popular in that way. But my grandparents really got a chance to groom me. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood that would challenge you as a kid. You know, you had to learn how to fight. You had to learn how to roast or as you might say, play the dozens or
Played
whatever.
it. Yeah.
So it was kind of like a double-edged sword. My grandma was telling me to, get close to the Lord and let things slide. My granddad was like, if they mess with you, handle your business. I mean, we believe in God, but we not playing.
Okay. So, were you popular in high school and junior high, or
I
were you
think
consider yourself an introvert or extrovert?
I think as an adult, I think I'm a mixture of both. As a kid, I was pretty shy, but if once I got to know you, I would open up. High school, I kind of started to develop my personality. You know, I was kind of silly, a jokester. So, you know, I was just a work in progress from elementary to middle to high school.
You sound like a typical kid, man. We all were
Yeah,
work.
nothing crazy, nothing too
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So, do you have any hidden talents? Like, do you play the violin? Do you play the piano? Do you sing?
Sing in the shower. I don't play any instruments. I think
So,
my talent I think I know how to speak to people in a way they can understand. Like you got some people that I don't think, the more I learn, the more I'm educate myself. I never speak over people's head. I always bring people to a level where they don't feel left out and they can feel like they belong. I think I'm just a people person. I mean, I'm not the person that's going to talk to everybody that he meets, but I'll speak and be polite. But once you know me, we can figure out a way to connect in some type of way.
I like that. Okay. All right. So, um, on a daily basis, what are the three things you think of most each day?
At this point in my life, I try to wake up with some form of gratitude.
Okay.
Since I'm not around Michael day to day all the time, I wonder what's this guy like when I'm not around him. We joke about that a lot. So it's just like I think about that. I think about ways I can be better as a person, as a man. So those three things, I try to wake up with gratitude. I think about my child, and I just think a way to push forward to be better in everything that I do or things I'm trying to do.
Okay. So, which of your five senses would you say is your strongest?
My strongest sense. Hmm. I think my ability, my to hear. I'm a good listener.
That's good. Okay. So, you say you were a jokester. On a scale from 1 to 10, what's your rating?
On a scale of, I think it's probably like probably like a 7 or 8. I can find humor in just about anything. Like
Okay. All right. So, who knows you the best? Was it your granddad, your grandma, your mother, your dad, or somebody else?
um, it probably would be a tie between my grandmother and my mom. They probably would say they knew me best.
Okay. All right. So after you graduate from high school, what's your next move to becoming a responsible adult after you get all of this knowledge from your grandparents and your mom and your dad? What did you
I think
do?
when I graduated high school, I had to touch the stove. I had to figure out if the stove was hot. I had this new freedom, so I think I wanted to explore. I was a little wild. It was no restrictions really for a second. But I think I got right out of high school. I got it right out of high school, and I tried my hand at college. So I
Okay.
went to Davenport University for about a year.
Uh,
And that was a good experience for me because when I started school, I was looking for a job. I couldn't find a job. So I started a work study job, which landed me working at the Salvation Army in my neighborhood. And I ran an after school program where we mentored kids and came up with stuff for them to do after school. And that job, even though I didn't have it for a long time, it's still paying dividends today. I still run across some of the kids I used to see back then. They still know who I am. Some of them I still have a great rapport with and a good relationship with. Even though I was a kid myself then,
yeah, that's wonderful. But you had that wisdom. You got that wisdom from your
I think my whole
grand.
life. People have been calling me an old man, because I spent a lot of time with my grandparents.
And you became a sponge and you sucked up the wisdom that they were giving you, which is great. Which is great. So
Definitely.
so when you were growing up, before you got out of school, what did you want to be?
Believe it or not, I always wanted. I was always interested in making money. My granddad, he owned the house that we lived in, and he
Okay.
stayed in the neighborhood. So he would come over and do the landscaping. But it was my job and my cousin's job to actually do the work. So when he pulled up with so he came up with this idea to start a landscaping company. So,
Okay.
but even before that, when we went to the grocery store, I would hang out in the front and help people with their bags to make extra money. So I was always interested in entrepreneurship of some form.
Okay. All right. So did it manifest? Do you have your own business? Are you making a lot of money?
I'm not making a lot of money, but I am into entrepreneurship. I have a clothing brand that I'm working on. It's starting to materialize a lot. I've connected with a lot of people, so I'm still working on it and trying to get it where I want it. But so far, so good.
Okay. So, do you ever ask Michael what he wants to be when he grows up? You
I
got
do. I always
and
throw things at him to see what's his response gonna be.
and what did he say the last time? Yes, because you know they change every month. So
I
the
was just
last.
talking to Michael today. I said, Michael, so recently, well, last year, I told him recently I'm going to send him another list of things to try out because I'm trying to figure out what he's passionate about. So I said, well, so what do you like to do? I like to hang out with my friends. I said, well, Michael, that's not a hobby that's gonna. I said, we need to figure out something that you can build on. So he's really into games. So I was telling him maybe we should think about coding
Okay.
because I put him in coding before, but he really didn't take to the instructor. And then COVID was going on at the time, so everything got canceled. So we're going to try to revisit that.
Okay. I think that sounds really, really good. Uh, So, have you found a job? You say you're not rich, but have you found a job that allows you the freedom to do what you want to do financially? Or are you
It's
still
kind
looking?
of it's kind of crazy. I work for General Motors. My parents worked for General Motors and retired for General Motors. So I work for General Motors, and it's time consuming.
Okay.
So my goal is to find a job or a career or be in business in a way that allows me to have more free time to spend with Michael, of course. And when you got free time, you can get your mind working and come up with great ideas.
Right. So, do you consider yourself a workaholic?
I mean, I wouldn't say a workaholic, but I am constantly thinking of ways that I can push the needle and make some money. And I would prefer ways to use my mind more than actually physically having to do labor.
Makes sense. All right. Okay. So, when you're working and you finally got this job, um, when did you ever think about getting married and having a family like your grandparents? Did that thought cross your mind when you were growing up?
Not growing up. I think now my grandparents have passed on now. So I kind of look at how, they had this teamwork concept
Mm,
where my granddad would talk all this stuff and then he would eventually run everything through my grandma. They would come up and then it would push forward like that. So it was just funny how he would fuss all the way, but he would actually wait, let me check with my wife first. So I look at that concept of having a partner at this stage of my life as it being a great thing. That is something I would want
right. Okay.
to have a life partner, somebody, you can actually get stuff done with. They came from the South, coming to Detroit from Little Rock, and they left a mark that we can actually look at and build on and actually reach for.
Okay. So, did you want children when you got out of school and got a job? Were you thinking about ever? Did you ever say, "I'm gonna have me some kids. I'm gonna have 10 kids. I'm gonna have 5 kids"? Did you ever think about that?
I was actually the guy that never thought about kids like that. Like my family was always saying, when you gonna? It was never on my mind. Like I just want, every guy wants a son, somebody who they could play, throw the ball around with, see if they'll become an athlete of some sort. But before it happened, it never, like years before that, it never was on my mind, like building a family. Like I was saying, I went to Davenport. I did college for a year, and then I kind of took a year to figure things out. Then eventually I joined the military.
Okay.
So I was just pushing. I kind of was just a risk taker. Okay. I'm tried college. The military was in Texas for training. I made up my mind to do that. Before Michael was born, I had started working for General Motors. I had a few years there. I went from Michigan to moving to Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay.
So I was just searching for just trying to get some stability within my life before, you know, quote unquote, building a family.
All right. So, where? And how did you meet Michael's mom? And did you want to marry her?
I met to start off. I met her through a friend that I grew up with by the
Okay.
name of Sade, and rest in peace to Sade.
Oh, okay.
As far as Michael's mom, I think we were just young. I don't think marriage was on the menu at the time. I think we started off friends, just having fun, hanging out,
Yeah.
and things went from there. I think my life was just so unpredictable at that age, I would say. I was young, wild, just hanging out all the time. I was working, had a stable employment, but I think I had a lot more growing to do.
Okay. So, do you plan to have more children?
If I meet the right person, I would
Okay.
open that door up to have more children. But right
All right.
now I think I have a great son who
I agree.
I can leave my legacy to and it be intact.
All right. So, when you became a new dad, did you struggle with like lack of support from family or with financial pressures? Was that ever a case for you?
I think support was in question a little because at the time I was living in Ohio and Michael's mother was still in Detroit. So we made the transition of them moving to Ohio with me, but with that transition being, it would just be us three. We didn't, I didn't have any lifelines in Ohio. It was just me. I wasn't there that long to establish, great relationships where you trust people having your kid or so we kind of leaned on daycare and stuff, which was kind of a crazy experience to have
Also,
such a young baby, having to send him to daycare.
oh, okay.
So that was challenging.
All right. So now that he's older and stuff, how often do you see him?
I see Michael consistently every other weekend, but if I'm in Detroit, I'll give his mom a call and I'll pull up on him. I'll maybe take him to go get a smoothie or something or shoot the breeze. Or if he's got something going on, I'll pop up. I won't even tell him.
Oh, okay. All right. So when you're spending time with him, do you ever wonder if you're being too strict or too lenient on him?
It's kind of a challenge because since you don't see him often, you don't want to be this drill sergeant, but you also want to get your point across and let him know that you have some firmness to you that you're not going to compromise. I always tell him I don't compromise. I don't negotiate with terrorists or kids. And he kind of chuckles.
Yeah, you do have jokes. Okay. So, do you cook and clean when he comes over? No.
I cook, I clean. I usually try to if it's left up to him, we'll eat McDonald's every day. So or pizza. So I
Okay.
try to get at least a couple solid meals in while he's in here. I definitely make breakfast or I'll make dinner.
Okay. All right. So, does he help you cooking or cleaning up?
If I asked him to, he's not going to be the guy that volunteers to help me out in the kitchen
Oh,
or stuff like that.
all
We've
right.
been
So,
on this juice kick lately though. So usually while he's here, I usually we make fresh juice and
okay.
things like that.
Probably doesn't like this stuff with the green in it, huh?
Nah, he's big on I made he loves the apple juice. He loves orange juice. Last time he was here, I made orange, mango, pineapple. He's like, "Can I take this stuff home?"
Cute, cute. All right. So, would you rather wash dishes, mow the lawn, clean the bathroom, or vacuum the house?
I would say mow the line because I've had a lot of experience doing that. That was
Oh,
pretty easy.
okay. So, if you could hire someone to help you, would it be for cooking or cleaning?
Probably cooking.
Okay. Do you have any hobbies?
I like to bowl. I like to travel. I love music. So concerts when I can, comedy shows.
All right. So, if you could choose anything to do for a day, what would you choose to do?
Anything to do for the day. Just be outside. I love to be outside. I love a sunny day. Even though I was born in the fall or whatever, I'm a summer person. So just to be outside, have me some grapes, some of my favorite fruit or something, and just chill.
Okay. Aside from necessities, what one thing could you not go a day without?
I say this again, music. I need music. I can't be
Okay.
without music. Like when I was in basic training, I would be marching around, humming and singing in my head.
Which branch of the service did you join?
Air Force.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the creme de la creme. All right.
Nah.
No, they treated. I worked with some reserve officers and the Air Force people when they went out of town or whatever. They got a hotel. They got a per diem. They got a car. When the Army went to something, they slept in the barracks or something and had to find their transportation the best way they could. I was like, y'all should have been in the Air Force because they. Now I've heard that though. I'm just saying I heard that y'all get treated swell. Yeah. So, um, if you could go back in time, what year would you travel to and why?
That's a great question. Um, if I can go back in time, what year would I travel to?
Including when you were a kid. I mean, because you have some fun memories.
I'll just pick a random year. I'll probably say 96. I was a
Mm,
kid, but I believe a lot of my relatives were still alive. A lot of my friends were still alive. We were kids. And like we were talking about with those holiday moments, just having everybody over. We used to pull names on Thanksgiving and you get your gift on Christmas. Being a kid going to the Boys and Girls Club or just making basketball rims in the neighborhood, being a kid, just being carefree, like once I got to a certain age, maybe like around maybe 23, 24, I started to lose a lot of my childhood friends. So
Due to what? Did they move away, go to school? What happened?
some of them, they were victims of gun violence, a lot of different things in the streets of Detroit. My friend Sade, she passed away in a car accident. So it was just that was kind of like some sad years. But if you take it back, just coming up born in the 80s, coming up in the 90s, going into the 2000s, just being with those people and having those family members. My aunt, she was deaf and she was hit by a bus. So, like just having, your family and your friends around, those were a lot of good years. I would go back to those.
Okay. All right. What's the most daring thing you've ever done? You say you were taking a risk. You went to college. Then you say I'm joining the military. You were taking risk as a young person. You know.
Um, Outside of being reckless, but the military was kind of crazy. I remember being in boot camp like those first few days, and I was thinking like, what was I thinking?
But you made the decision. Nobody said
No, nobody forced
you
me.
need to go to the service if you because parents back in the day would say you're gonna either go to college, you're gonna get a job, or you're gonna go to the military. You weren't threatened with those. You were allowed
And
to.
and that never was my ideals. I wasn't in ROTC. I wasn't like just on it like that. But at the time in my life, I needed some type of structure. I needed something that would put me on the right path. And my friend Eric, we call him Lil E. He came to me with the idea of joining the service, and his cousin Lamont came with the idea. And I'm like, "What are y'all talking about? I'm not doing that." But Lamont was like, "Yo, let's just, y'all can come on a tour." So once we went on the tour, I'm like, "Oh, okay, nice looking women in uniform. This seems pretty cool. No,
Nice
but
women,
I
not
decided to at
not
least give it a try. I wanted to meet the recruiter or whatever, and I would say, it turned out pretty good. It gave me some structure. I seen things away from Detroit, being in Texas for training or whatever. Yeah, I think it was what I needed at the time. So it was daring, and I think up and moving to Ohio was, I think I moved to Youngstown in 2008. That was different for me, just to be somewhere where I knew nobody at all, really. And I think it made a man out of me because I had to grow. I was forced to learn survival. I was forced to learn how to adapt and to, foreign land at the time, Ohio. I didn't know anything about Ohio.
so now
So,
when Michael comes to you with an idea, um, that sounds strange, or I mean, you say, "Are you sure?" or whatever. You're open to him, right?
I'm definitely open to, I'll probably be the one that's saying, try it, go.
Right.
My brother, he was in Atlanta for a lot of years. He most recently moved to Oakland, California. And, he came to me with the idea of, should he go? Should he move? And I was like, go. I said, you don't have any kids. You're not married. You can always go back to Atlanta.
Right.
And he ended up moving. And I think he's happy. He's now in a relationship. He still has his career. He's a social worker with the government. But
Okay.
I'm not the person to, you come to me with something positive, something life changing that could be good, I'm going to tell you go.
Okay. Sounds good. So, what's the craziest thing you ever did in the name of love?
Craziest thing I ever did in the name of love. Hmm. I don't
Okay,
know.
that's fair. So, um, when Michael comes to you and asks you about girls or young ladies, because he'll be older, what advice will you tell if he's picking a girlfriend, and then later on, if he's talking about marrying her, what kind of advice are you going to give him about love and relationships?
I would probably tell him to kind of analyze the whole picture. If her parents is around, see if you see what her mom is like. See what type of woman her mother is. Like, is she a caterer? Is she friendly? Does she take care of the household? Does she hold the father down? Like, does she come from a strong structure? Because usually, I mean, I didn't know this when I was dating. Like, the apple doesn't fall. So, I mean, you have people that defy what things were in their life, but a lot of times people become what they're around. They become a product of the structure they come from,
Right.
which can be a good or a bad thing. So, but I would tell him, kind of pay attention and don't look at it like you don't look at your first relationship like it's going to be like you're never ever going to meet someone ever again. So kind of be patient, pay attention, because everything is good and great and fireworks in the beginning. See if this
So,
is something, you know.
if he comes to you like at 21 and say, "Oh, I'm in love, Dad. I think I want to get married."
Of course, I'm going to support it, but I'm going to give him pointers of things to pay attention to. And then if he still says, then I'm ready to suit up and go to
Okay.
the ceremony.
All right. So, uh, when he was younger and even now, how do you keep him busy?
Um, I've learned with Michael that he's very indecisive. So you have to just go with it. Like, you want to have a day at the park, you don't say the day before, hey, Michael, we're going tomorrow. We're going to hang out at the park. You get him up the day of, tell him to get dressed, and you roll out and you just have a day at the park.
Okay. So you
Like,
don't let him make a decision because if you
nope.
did, you be there all day.
He'd be there all day. He'll be like, I don't know about this. I don't know about that. He's the type of guy you say, "Are you hungry?" No, I just ate. Then 5 minutes later, I'll try that. Yeah, I'll have some of that. So if he says no as far as food or something like that, just order it anyway or make it anyway. Make enough for him.
Okay.
So he's
Yeah.
going to change.
Has he ever asked you a difficult question a question that you found difficult to answer?
Um, he asked a lot of questions. So of course, yes, he's asked difficult questions or questions that maybe I didn't want to answer in that moment. Of course.
Was it because of his age? You didn't think he could handle it, or did you just wonder where you get that from?
So it's all been a lot of moments of where you get that from. Like,
And YouTube and all of this online stuff, they in the programs and some of the movies that they watch, gives them a lot of information,
but I
about
always try to open the door. I always tell them like it's nothing you could say to me that I'm not, that we can't figure out or talk about it. So I remember I was trying to talk to him about sex and the quote unquote birds and the bees, and he's like, well, Dad, I learned so and so such and such like a couple years ago. I'm like,
so you weren't telling him anything, huh?
he was. So I'm like, well, I said, let's start here. What do you know? Then we
Hey,
can build on that, and I can explain that in
okay.
depth to you.
So do you ever sometimes feel that you're not doing enough for him?
I always feel like it's more I can do. I always feel like, if I got any free time, let me see if I could, see what he's doing, or maybe incorporating him, because I always feel like you say, it's so many influences. I mean, I can't be there all the time, but I at least want to put that effort in and try to, include him. Sometimes you feel guilty though, you don't see, it's never enough time spent, or you might be on a vacation, or you might be somewhere away from him. You're like, dang, he should be with me.
Yeah. How often do you call him?
I almost probably call every day. If not every day, every other day, I'm trying to communicate in some type of way. Like I told you before we got on the call, I took his phone for the weekend because he ain't been answering. I'm like, dude. So today we had a talk. We always talk. And that's a beautiful thing, a part of our relationship. We always communicate. And I was telling him earlier, I said, you know, kids need their parents, to provide shelter, food, clothes. But parents need their kids too. They want to hear from you. They want to know what's going on with you. They want to have conversations and stuff like that. So he's looking like, he got that look like he's understanding, or either he wants you to stop talking. But I would say,
You can't tell which one it is.
right.
Wow. Wow. So so at this point, because you're so many minutes away, do you feel like you missing out on a lot sometimes?
Sometimes I do. It's like now it's like every time I see him, he's looking like he's grew an inch. The voice is starting to get a little raspy, maybe a little. So,
Yeah.
you like I said, you want to be locked in with your kid. You want to know what's going on. You want to be able to prevent anything or try to intercept any influence that's not positive. So that's always my thought process.
So when you take them home, maybe not now, but when you first moved to, the distance that you moved away, do you worry about his safety because he's in Detroit and you're somewhere else? So
Well, I pray every day. I pray every day that God keeps his arms protection around him and delivers him from all evil. That's my prayer every day. And I just try, like you say, I try to communicate. If I'm not, I'm shooting him a text, I'm calling his phone, or I'm texting his mom, like, what's up with Michael?
Mhm.
And that usually means he's not answering, what's up?
Right. So, what advice do you give him about being respectful to his mom and his elders?
Well, I always tell him, like, even with the passing of his grandfather, I always tell him, I know it was a big loss for you by you being, the grandson, but you got to think about your mother, her being the daughter, losing her father. So you have to have, you want people to give you, have patience with you. You must have patience with her and then be understanding in that fact.
Right, right. So, his homework and stuff like that, do you give him advice about like make sure you try to do the best you can to get the best grade, strive for A, don't just do enough? Do you ever talk to him about homework and other stuff?
Homework is crazy. I'm like, they never have homework really. And when they have it, I'm like, why you ain't got no homework?
Wow, that's good. I
In
mean,
my, back in my day, we had homework,
finishing in school
and
anyway. They should be able to come home and enjoy their family. They shouldn't have to stay up 3 and 4 hours doing stuff they could have did in class. I don't
I
think
don't
it's
think they should beat them down with homework, but you
yes.
know, I think practice gets you better. They say practice makes perfect, but if you're doing stuff that you don't understand,
Oh,
you should be
that's
practicing that at home.
true.
I mean, I'm not saying you need to have it every day, but at least get
Yeah,
some in.
I'm like, shoot, they need to be teaching them.
I'm like,
Let They need to do all that they can while they in class, and and do it for a whole week. And make sure that they got it. And give them a little quiz to make sure that they got it.
I
And
mean,
then
they always on break. The wind blow too hard. They shutting the school down. It's too cold. It's an ice storm. It's snowing, light rain. Stay home. I'm like, we was out there in it. I don't.
there's a big difference between then and now. Yeah, there is a big
I
difference.
mean, we got to bring some of the old school back. I mean, we can't beat the kids no more. At least send them to school.
Man.
They took the paddles out of the school. Come on, something.
So, what was your favorite subject in school? Did you have a favorite?
I always like English. I thought English was a good subject. I got
Okay.
good at writing papers, so that was something. Persuasive essays,
Okay.
speech was cool. Um, I liked history, economics.
Money, writing, communicating. Okay, so what does Michael like? Do you know what his favorite subject is? Does he have one?
It's kind of crazy. He does very well in English, but I asked him. I said, "You do very well in English." He like, yeah. He's so cool. Yeah, it's an easy class.
He's so funny. Have you talked to him about high school and college yet? I know he just got in.
Well, I
What?
was talking to him, telling him like, every level it's preparing you for the next level. Like I told him, like in elementary, I used to, because I was on second shift mostly when he was like in preschool, first grade, third grade. So I would pick him up on like Saturdays and then keep him to Monday and take him to school. So he remembers those days because I would start the morning off playing loud old school music. I would be ironing his clothes, and then I come in there waking him up. Then he'd duck under the covers. I tickle his feet. Then he'd jump back the other way. I say, okay, man, knock it off. Come on, it's time to go. So we would come from Ohio to Detroit, and then I would stop and get him a Lunchable and get him a donut. So he's the snack king. So that was
Yes.
like the best part of his morning. So I always try to take a different approach because when I was growing up, you was getting yelled at and get up and get to school. So I try to start the morning off kind of with a smooth, good vibe and drop him off. So he always talks about those days when I used to take him to school.
So is he thinking about going to college, or do you have you had? So you just talked about high school.
I was just mostly talking about high school and how we talked about college today. Actually, I was telling him like, once you get older, it's nobody that's going to be your alarm clock telling you you missed this, you missed that. I say it's going to be your responsibility at that level of life to handle your business. There's nobody there to say, "Hey, Michael, you know you need to go to bed because you got an early class tomorrow, or you missed your assignment." I said, "It's no PTA, it's no parent teacher conference. You're gonna have to meet with your professor and discuss what happened, how to move forward."
Mm.
So I'm always discussing like responsibility and where he should be at where he is now and what's ahead of him.
Did he have anything to say about nobody's gonna wake me up? What do you mean? did
He
did he
looked
have?
confused, like, "What do you, huh? Huh?"
It's funny what they take for granted. Yeah, it's funny what they take for granted.
He
So
likes to hear stories of when I grew up a lot and different things in my life. So that's kind of like an interesting conversation to have with him.
so he's asking you questions to get to know you better and how you were as a kid.
How I was in a kid as a kid. He always wanted to know how I was because we watched. I try to pick movies that were from my time that are still good. Like we watched Major Pain, so he got a kick out of that.
Uh huh.
He told me that I couldn't put on an old show that would make him laugh one time.
Oh, okay.
So I put it on a Cosby show, and we had a bet that the show wouldn't make him laugh. He was cracking up and kept on wanting to see it over and over again. It was like
Okay.
that episode where they were singing that Ray Charles song, and so
Man.
he was right.
Yeah.
That's the part he kept having me play.
Oh yeah. That's one of my favorite parts too. That's one of my favorite parts too. Um, so he's getting to know you, and you're sitting up and you're having conversations. Um, do you see any similarities when you ask him, like, but what do you want to do? You got to just do. Does he remind you of yourself at that age?
Like his style, like I said they always call me like the old man, but he has that. I know he spent a lot of time with Big Tony, aka Paw Paw. So
Yeah.
he has this real relaxed style. I think that's how I was at that age. But one thing he has that I don't know if I had so young, like Michael's brutally honest. Like
Yes.
if you want the truth, ask him. He's gonna
Yes.
give it to you without even second guessing or thinking about
Yes. I've been a victim of that honesty.
it.
His papa asked him one day, and I was like, you don't even care about my feelings. He's like hunching his shoulders, like he doesn't lie. He
Like
just
you asked for it.
Yeah. If you ask him, he's gonna tell you the truth. So hey,
I remember one of his teachers told me that some years ago, and I couldn't do nothing but laugh. She's like, "You want to hear the truth? Ask Michael. He just.
yeah, he's very honest. He's very honest. Yeah. So in this day of social media, what advice do you give him about like his self esteem or somebody trying to bully him or anything? Do you have to talk to him about that, or have you had to
Well,
talk
I
to him?
always tell him that you can't beat everybody physically or in conversation, but just stand up for yourself. And sometimes just let it be that. You can agree to disagree, but always stand up for yourself. In the era of social media,
Right.
everybody has an opinion. So I just try to give them some confidence and tell them to, believe in yourself. And I always explain to him about positive peer pressure. Like everybody thinks about the negative side of peer pressure, but I told him to, try to find you some friends. I know you have. I called out a few friends to him that are doing good things and try to lean on those versus the bad influences.
What about him? What's your favorite thing about him?
My favorite thing about Michael, he's just unpredictable at times. I remember one time he just, as soon as I got around him, he just gave me a hug. He looks up at me. He says, "What? I missed you." And I was just tripping, like, but he's a loving kid, and I think he has that naturally. He's starting to change a little bit, getting into his teenage years, but he still shows you flashes of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when he when he's interested in something like Marvel or Spider-Man, he'll talk to you about it like a college professor. And you just sitting there like, okay. And
Yeah. When I used to pick him up from school, man, I said, "So how was your day?" And I listen, and he tell me the stuff that those kids do. I was like, "Wow, wow, wow!" Some of those kids are something else, you
but I
know.
love the way he's curious
Yeah,
and that he'll ask you questions. Like, I remember when he was really young, he'll say, "Can I talk to you for a minute?"
yeah. Can I ask you something? Or can
Yep, he's always done that.
yeah,
Like even now, like he'll pull me to the side, and, like we're around a lot of people, and he'll just ask or he'll express something. So that's one thing I love about him. He's not. I love that we have that open dialogue.
yeah. So you're the reason why he'll ask those questions because you don't respond in that negative like, boy, what you doing? Ask. Yeah, I like
Well,
that.
I always try to figure out an approach. I think about how I was handled or different situations, and I say, okay, is this the time to be aggressive or is this time just to listen and see what you get from them in that moment?
Yeah, I like that. What's your favorite thing to do with Mike?
But Mike's I like to go into his world and watch the movies, he's interested in just to see, he's been a Spider-Man. I love when he comes to me with something that I know is ancient and he comes to me like it just came out
Right.
and he's trying to tell me all of this stuff, but I've been seeing it my whole life. Like he's
Yeah.
in the Dragon Ball Z and he's Goku this and about his son and the dad and the whole little layout. So I'm like, Michael, they've been around.
You can't believe it. Yeah.
Like his passion, when he's passionate about something, there's nothing you can tell him. Like he's on this iPhone thing.
Okay.
One day we're in Best Buy and the guy comes up to me and asks me that I want to buy some type of computer or no, he asked me that I want to get the iPhone. And
Okay.
I'm like, so he goes on to explain how he's a tech student and how um Michael's like, yeah, he needs to get the iPhone because it's better than the Android. So the guy tells him that the people that make iPhone they use Android parts.
Right.
And he's like, but it's still better. I said, so Michael, they use their parts. So how can it be
Right.
better? So he just looks, he takes a deep breath. He's like, but they're still better. And he walks off. I said, man, are you getting paid by these folks?
Hey, he just said we're gonna agree to disagree and walked away from
When he champions something, he's passionate about it. Like
it.
I said, we
Yeah.
got to see if you could become a brand ambassador or something.
So what matters most to you about being Michael's dad?
I always want to be the right example. So I think a lot of times as parents, we demand a lot from our kids, but while we're trying to, push them to grow, we have to grow ourselves. I can't be the same parent I was 5 years ago. I
Right.
gotta keep trying to evolve and keep trying to be better in that field. So I, as he's growing and getting older, I'm getting older. I'm hoping to build a bond that will last, even when he's an adult. He will still consider my opinion as an adult and still respect my opinion and we can, have that lifelong bond.
So what would be your perfect day with Mike? What would you guys do?
A perfect day with Mike. We both greedy. So we find a restaurant that, we both love or, get some food, just have some great conversation, have some laughs, you know, just kind of pick each other's brain. That's a ideal time for me and him. I also love when I can put him up on something, whether it be just in conversation or I give like one time Michael wanted Wendy's really bad. So I'm like, I'm about to go to Trap Vegan, you
Okay.
know. So we go to Trap Vegan, I order my food, and we're getting ready to go to Wendy's. So he sees the food, he's looking at it like, this is a vegan burger. So at first I was going to trick him and tell him it was a regular burger to
Okay.
see. So he looking at it, I said, you want to try it? So he's like, yeah, I'll try it. He takes a piece. He's like, this is pretty good. So I say, so you still want to go to Wendy's? He's like, nah, I'll have this. So I look at the lady. I said, can I get another one of what I had? So now he's just this trap vegan guy where he loves trap vegan. So I love getting him outside of his box,
Mhm.
and because he's sort of like me. If I'm kind of optimistic about trying stuff sometimes, but especially something that they're quote unquote calling vegan. Like, but I love when, just pushing him to do stuff. I remember I took him skating one time and he's like, Dad, can you take me to a skating party? I said, I'm not taking you if you're not skating. Because he was in Ohio and we was going back up to Michigan. So we get there, he's looking. So he's like, I don't want to skate. I said, you putting them on? You might not be going around, but you putting them skates on. So let's come on over here. Let's tell a man your size. Long story short, his friends were like encouraging him. They got him there, guiding him around. He's hugging the wall before he's on the carpet, standing up by himself. So we can ready to leave. Now I'm like, aren't you glad I made you skate? He was like, yeah, I had fun.
Now it's one of his favorite pastimes. He likes skating. Oh,
So
wow.
that's a joy for me to try to, get him outside of his box and push him to do stuff and, let him know, you can try new things. You might like it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah. So, what's the hardest part about being, 45 minutes away from him?
Just not being able to get, you know, to just pull up, and just you might get off work one day and just say, "Hey, I want to pull past my son real quick. It's a nice day outside, and maybe whatever." I think that's kind of tough, just to be not just directly in driving distance to be able to maybe have dinner during the week or grab something to eat real quick,
Right.
and just trying to keep that communication with the teachers to let them know, hey, I pull up, you know,
Right. Yeah. So, what do you think every dad that's not in the household with their kids, what do you think they need to know about their kid?
what do I think they need to know about their kid?
Yeah, because you're not living with them every day.
Mm,
So,
I think you need to have some type of communication with the mother to try to know who your kids around. Make sure they're around the right people. Um, Come up with a game plan to, not so much know what. Come up with a game plan to put them around the right influences. You know, when you're not around, so that you know that they're in good hands, whether it be a mentor program of some sort, some extracurricular activity. Now, these are things that I'm actually working to implement. So, we put them in DAPSEP. I believe that was a good program for them. So I'm just trying to push the envelope to, fill in those empty spaces when I'm not around,
right.
so that that he's getting something quality from other people or a program of some sort.
So, what skill do you think every dad should have?
Hmm. I mean, you got to be loving. You got to be, you got to be able to just be. You got to be present, and even though you're not present all the
Phys-
time in person, technology is great. Video chatting,
Right.
texting. You know, it's ways of communicating with the kids, teachers. You got email. Some of them even got where you can text them now. So you just got to work to try to be present when you're not present. Make your presence felt, like, because kids, they slick. So they feel like they can get away with something. They're gonna try.
Yeah, yeah. Out of sight, out of mind. So, what is it like seeing him growing up and making decisions? How does that feel, knowing that? Does it seem like it was just a few months, when he learned how to walk or talk, and you know,
Yeah, like I told you, he's almost tall as me. He's probably gonna be taller than me. And just the conversations are different now, middle school. And I still have those old pictures of me carrying him in the carrier or him in the back seat. And one thing I like about Michael is he's not really pressing the gas to be super grown. Like, he still
right?
likes what he likes. He's still into Spider-Man, Dragon Ball. He still likes cartoons. And I'm not I'm like, you got forever to be an adult. So enjoy your childhood.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. All right, we're gonna take a break right here. We'll be back, so stay tuned to Real Dad Speak. We'll be right back.
My name is Sean Williams, and I am the founder and president of the Dad Gang Incorporated. The Dad Gang is a support group for Black fathers, and we are on a mission to change the way the world views Black dads.
I do agree there's a misconception about Black parenting and Black fathers.
All right, welcome back to Real Dad Speak. We now have joining us Michael Haygood the first, the senior, along with Michael Haygood the second, who I call Mick. And first time to have father and son on here talking about how it is to be a dad. So can I call you senior, Michael Senior?
Well, that's fine. That's who
Okay.
I am.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what's the similarity or the difference that you see between your son and your grandson?
Well, when Michael was growing up, he was into different things. He used to write poetry, and I was just telling him to get back into it. He used to write poetry. He was like into mingling with little girls. At the time, because I got a picture. He used to go to Bernie Elementary. All right, and I went up to the class. I took a picture. He was around there smiling, looking at the girls. I don't see him, but we have been around there. I see him looking. He's more like bashful. Michael, my son, Michael is more open, and Michael is more like bashful, kind of. I ain't gonna say timid, but he don't approach things like he did. I remember the transition of Michael being 10 and getting to a teenager. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. He wanted to, even though they started smelling themselves and they want to get out there. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember I brought him over to my house, him and his brother. He said, I can't stay here. I got to go. I said, what's wrong? We just got here. But he didn't want to spend the night, but we spent the night, stayed a few days. And I'd taken him to the zoo, bought all kind of hamburgers, bought a bunch kind of stuff, had a cooler full of juices and pop and everything. Get to the zoo, and both of them didn't want to stay, but Michael was the one that initiated it, and Brandon just went along with him. I said, that's okay. I took them back home, and but once they get a taste with Michael, like I said, he liked the girls early. You know what I'm saying? He liked them early, and he I didn't see it, but I saw it as he came up. The girls liked him, and he liked them too. So I picked Michael up from school, his son, my grandson. I saw him walking around and stuff. I saw people speaking to him. He's speaking to them, but it was like, how you doing? Walking past, and he's trying to get to the car, and keep going. But Michael, I probably had to go tell him to stop talking. Let's go. He been had a bunch of conversations with everybody. But his son,
Your son is a social animal. Your grandson is like, whatever. I'm not trying to be sociable or whatever.
Is it my volume? I can't hardly hear you.
No, I said, Michael the second is a social animal, and Michael the third is like, whatever. Let me just get to the car because I'm going home.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, because you sound low to me. Your volume sound low. I turned my volume up on my phone, but
Mick, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
I can hear it just low. It's low on my phone. That's all.
Oh, okay. I don't want to scream, but I will.
No. No, that's okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear it just low.
Okay. I'm come close to the phone. So is it like Michael the second is a social person, but your Michael the third is just like antisocial, quiet, and reserved? Is that what you're saying?
I would say he reserved. I would say antisocial.
Yeah.
I think once he gets to know a person, then he'll take to him. It's like I was around him when he was little, went to a lot of his parties and stuff. I remember when he was probably like 2 or 3, and Michael's cousin, a son, is around the same age, about a few months from Michael. I think they were born the same year. But anyway, Michael didn't want nobody to hold him but his father. His sister was there. He was crying, "I want my daddy. I want my daddy." Then after that, he got to know us. He got to know us a little while. Then he we could hold him and talk to him. After taking him over my mother's house, my mother said, I think he's about like 7 or something like that. She said, I'm gonna keep you here with me. He went, "Oh no, I gotta leave with my mother," because Tony was there with him too. She had brought him to see my mother. He said, "Oh no, I gotta go." He said, I like you, I love you, but I can't stay here." He told my mother. I fell out laughing.
He's Daddy just said he's very honest.
Oh yeah. He come right out with it.
Yeah.
But I tell him when I leave, I said, "I love you." He said, "I love you too." And I asked him, "How you doing?" He said, "How are you doing?" When I asked him stuff, he sounded like a little grown man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Michael was the same way. You know what I'm saying? You talk to him, you be like you talking to an adult. Because sometimes I remember I told Michael, "I don't know if I'm the father or the son, and you the father now." That's what I told Michael. When I was talking to him. So he probably gonna experience that with little Michael. Where it's like you changing roles. And a lot of time right now, it feel like he talking to. Yeah, I don't feel bad about him giving me a pull up because I can take it. At first I ain't like it. Him giving me a pull up. And he would tell me stuff. I like okay, but now it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because I can take it. I mean, and I need it. I need to be pulled up. So I'm trying to develop a relationship with little Michael, but we good though. He could come and stay around me for a day or two or whatever. I think he'll be all right. What I'm saying? But I can't take the place of Tony because Tony put when I was around Tony, he had me dying laughing. So and I can imagine him dealing with little Michael. Because I remember I came over and I met Michael over there, and then Michael was down there. And he was talking so much stuff. I was laughing so hard. I didn't want to leave from over there, but I had to go. I didn't want to leave from around them, but I was enjoying myself for that moment.
Yes.
But like I said, I just do. I'm his grandfather, and I'm just to develop a relationship with. He can come to me and talk to me, and I told him if you need to talk, I'm here for you. And you ain't got to worry about me telling your daddy or nobody what you told me. That's what I told him. He ain't never came to me yet, but I told him I left the door open for him.
Yeah. Yeah. But Mike the second is saying, they have a good communication, and he tells them stuff. And he just told me a few minutes ago. He said, "If you want the truth, ask Michael, because he will be brutally honest with you. You better be ready." Yeah. He's very honest.
Oh yeah.
Michael gonna keep it. He gonna keep it real all the way. You ask him something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember Michael's mother. She be playing cards with him sometime. He said, "Grandma Evelyn she's something else." That's what he said. He just busts out laughing because she be cracking jokes and stuff, and he just said, "Hey, she's something else." That's what he tell Michael. But like I
Yeah,
say,
they used to have Uno wars.
Oh really?
Like Michael, he a sore loser. So
really,
when he lose, he be real mad, but when he win,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
I
he
know.
light up. His whole face is lit up. And he want to play. You play 30 and 40 games of Uno with Michael easy because he gonna want to play. He done kind of got away from it now that he got a little older, but that was his favorite game. We used to play this other game called Othello. It's sort of like checkers. We used to have game nights. That was just what we did a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Wow.
it's like I said, it's for me to have two generations after me, and if my father was living, it'd be four because
Right.
my middle name is their middle names too. That was my father's name. Actually, my father had his mother named him after all her brothers. He had five first names. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so he just took one. He said I couldn't be all that. That's what he said because he was naming all the names
Wow.
Um,
that his mother named him after all her brothers.
Wow.
So yeah, he just took Lomax. He took that name and Michael Lomax and all they Michael Lomax Haygood too, but his name was Lomax. My father. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember I took Michael and Brandon over there and they was little, and my mother cooked some meal and they was eating. My father came downstairs and looked at both of them and said, "Oh yeah, y'all, we related. I can tell the way y'all eating that food." That's what he said. He said, and then I took Michael and got him some trap vegan. I picked him up from school.
Uh,
He was dugging in the back. I said, wait a minute, my brother, slow down. I said, you gotta wash your hands first. He said, okay, okay. I said, you can drink the smoothie now. So before I got him, I turned the boulevard and turned on the Dexter. Most of that smoothie was gone. You know what I'm saying? And I told my lady, I love you too. He breaking in the house. You can't wait to get to that trap vegan. He turned around and smiled at me and went in the house.
yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
got it, it was still hot. Yeah, I said, he can't wait to get to that food. You know?
That's what me that said likes to eat. Like
Yeah,
like
I love to eat too. So we all got that together.
but
I
Michael
love to
be
eat all.
like, Michael say, I'm cool. I'm not hungry. Then 5 minutes later, well, I think I'll eat a little something, and his little something is a whole meal. Not-
Yeah. Because I got him, I was going to get him some. They got a new restaurant called See You Tomorrow. I was supposed to pick him up, and then they had somebody else pick him up. I was going to get him some chicken. Because they got roasted chicken and roasted potatoes over on Woodward. It's called See You Tomorrow. Black Chef opened it. And I was going to get him some of that, see if he liked that. Try to turn him on to something different other than Trap Vegan. Because Trap
yeah.
Vegan, he already got him. He'll drink the smoothies. If I got him two of those smoothies, he'll probably drink both of them. Or
Wow.
start on the second one, maybe put the rest in the refrigerator. But I believe, the smoothie be down to the last couple sips. I said, you might as well go on and just knock that on off, my brother. What I said,
uh,
you know, yeah,
So
but
do you think how different was you raising Michael the second from you seeing Mike raise uh Michael the third? How do they compare?
well, I'm gonna go back to this. The way my father raised me, I
Uh-huh.
couldn't raise Michael the way my father raised me because the way that strict what my father was, and it wasn't. He loved us, but he got my father got more loving as he got older. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he wasn't. I mean, he could hug you and stuff like that, and he told you he loved you. But like with Michael, when I was raising him, I showed him more affection, and I see Michael showing his son more affection. Actually, that I showed him, you know, and the attention. And I told Michael right here, you're a better father than I was, or that
Oh,
I am. I told him that. You remember I told you that?
yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, because I
wow.
saw how he was dealing with him and all that stuff. Because I had to deal with him. I had to deal with his sisters and his brother. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? If I did something for Michael, they be saying, "Oh, okay. What about me?" So I got to deal with them, But he only got Michael, and
Right.
so he can deal with him, one on one, give him all his attention and everything. Where I had to split mine up,
Right. Right.
But
Now, was
he's an
your dad
excellent father.
providers for the most part? You
Say it
know,
again.
was your dad in that era like the men that were raised in the 40s and 50s? They were concentrating mostly on making a living and paying the bills for their kids and all of that stuff. So y'all wouldn't sit down and just say, "How you doing school today?" He didn't have time. He was always working.
But he did that too. My
Oh, he did.
father he was I don't know. He was loving and stuff. He would come home, check our homework.
Oh,
Uh, we saw him every day. You know what I'm saying? And he worked he worked a couple jobs, and he had a cleaning company that he owned. You know, he would take me. I got a twin brother, so he'd take me and him to buff the floors. That's how I learned how to use the machines and stuff. And uh, but we saw him every day, and on Sunday, uh, we all had my mother would cook dinner every day, and on Saturday was like a free day. You know, we hot dogs or hamburgers, and
mhm.
then Sunday we have a big meal, and the whole family sit down and eat together.
Okay.
But we ate together every day, and Saturday was a free day, and Sunday was the day where she cooked dinner, and everybody we sat down and ate. You know, like it was like Thanksgiving, or we all sit around like that. You know,
Man,
but
wow.
my father got to know everybody. You know, all my children, and they knew him, and they knew each other. And like I said, he showed them more affection than he showed me. You know, as their grandkids. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I remember when Michael was going to the Air Force. He said he told Michael. He said, "Listen." He said, "I know you want to go out of town, but you're not going, and that's it. I ain't gonna talk about it no more." That's what he told Michael.
Wow.
Michael said,
He
Michael
said,
said, "What?"
you're not going. And that's the end of that.
Wow. But that was
Yeah,
a error. That was a parenting error. When they say something, they ask you why. You say because I said so, and that was the end of the conversation back
and I
then.
was laughing. I'm his father, but my father told him that. I was like, and then
Right.
they came at me and said, "Well, I don't think he should go. You should say something to him." I said, "Well, I can't change a light bulb for him. He got to learn how to change the light bulb himself."
I
I
like
said,
that.
"I can't change the tire. I can show him how to change the tire, but eventually he need to learn how to do that himself if I'm not around." So they was
Right.
my parents was mad at me, and his grandparents was mad at me for not stopping him going down to be getting the Air Force. They was mad, but I
Wow.
said you got to learn. I
Right.
had to learn. I had to take some hard knocks in
Mhm.
life. But I learned. I learned what to do and what not to do.
So you
You know,
always supported him when he made a decision that wasn't uh, detrimental to his health. Then you've always allowed him to try new stuff and say, "Okay, I got you."
no. I
No.
if it was something gonna harm him, I ain't want him to do it.
Right.
But
Right.
I felt going to the Air Force be good for
Right.
him.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, because
Supported him.
he didn't go to Marines, he didn't go to Army or like that. I found out the Air Force was a better move for
Yes.
him to go into than to go to the rest of them armed forces, and that's why I was trying to explain to them. But after they didn't want to listen to me, I said, "Well, ain't no sense in me talking to him." Because my son Brandon went to Atlanta, and they got mad at me again. They said he shouldn't go to Atlanta. He can go to Michigan State. He can go to Wayne State. He ain't got to go down to Clark University. And I
Oh, they
told him, I said, "Well."
you
I told him
okay?
again. I said he got to do what he got to do. So his
Right.
grandmother, Miss Davis, God rest her soul, she got to call me Michael. You need, and they said her and his granddad, they set me down. You need to go and stop Brandon from going down there. And I told him, I said I really would, but I don't think it'd be best for me to do that because him and Brandon always went to the Black College tour, and I
Mhm.
know when Michael get to that part. I know he probably gonna send Michael to the Black College tour. I'm talking about little Michael. He
Right.
probably gonna go to the Black College tour like he did and his uncle did. So he decided he want to go to Clark Atlanta. So
Okay.
Brandon ran out of money. His mother said, "Come on back home. You can go to Wayne State." I said, "You stay right there." I was working overtime at my job, and
Wow.
all my overtime money was going to Atlanta. And he stayed down there and he got his bachelor's degree, and he stayed down there and got his master's degree,
Wow.
and eventually he said he gonna get him a doctor's degree, but he got his degrees down there, and I kept sending money down there. I said,
Right.
uh, uh, I support all of my children, whatever they want to do. I gave them gave them the means to do something that they need to do. I remember when Michael bought him a car, and the guy ran the light and tore it up,
Hmm.
and so we go to the dealer, and the guy came back and said he didn't need a cosigner, and a tear rolled down my face. And Michael started laughing, and I said, "Excuse me for a minute." I got up from the table, and a tear rolled down my face, and I was thinking, I said, "Oh wow, what are he doing?" I said, "My man getting a car on his own, and I was proud, and I was just couldn't believe that. I knew the guy was saying, "Well, you had to sign here for him to get the car," but he
Uh-huh.
gave Michael the car on his own because Michael was working at GM, and he had to put that down and gave him a nice brand new car. I said, "Man, that was beautiful."
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
all them kids, my father co-signed for me, and it didn't turn out right for me, and he was
What?
mad at me. And my father always say, "I'm gonna say no, because I'd rather you get mad at me and for saying no than I be mad at you for saying yes." But I corrected it in the end when I got more mature. I
Okay.
paid him his money back, but all my children, I bought them all cars, paid cash for them, and I just
Mhm.
made sure that they whatever they wanted to do, go to school, supported all of that.
Okay.
Some want to go this way and that way. I supported all of that, but I didn't support nothing that was detrimental to their health or whatever. I didn't support that.
Now I asked Mick earlier about what was a favorite thing he did. He said he knew from one side of the family there was the auto show and another. And
Yeah,
on the other side, they always got together for Christmas and Thanksgiving. So when you were growing up, was that the tradition when you were a kid that you always had this family gathering? You guys were always close.
yeah,
And
we always close. And then that auto show thing, we was going. My father take us to the auto show every year. Then when we got older and they were scared, my mother never take them to the auto show. I was laughing. I mean, it was like that's what my father did. Things just like they would go to the restaurant. And my father, Brandon and Michael, they had their food, and he be eating out of their plate and stuff. I mean, he just eat out of our plate when we was little. And
oh,
Brandon, I'm look up him. He said, "Oh, let me try that for a minute. Let me see what's going on here." And he'd start eating out their plate.
But Michael never met his great grandfather,
No, I
oh,
know.
but he do that. You know,
he eat
he
out of your plate.
he'll order what he's gonna order.
Uh huh.
Then I'll order what I'm gonna order. Then he say, "Can I try that?" I said, "Michael, you had the same opportunity I had. The lady came over. She said, 'What would you like?' I ordered. Then she asked you, 'What would you like?'"
And you ordered.
But
But
you
he,
still
but
all right.
I give him a little sample, but I ain't gonna
Yeah.
let him eat my whole plate.
Do you
Yeah,
do
but
you
my,
do
my
you think
mother met them though. Go
do
ahead.
you do you think that that's something that kids are missing, that big family, the extended family connection? Do you think that just help to make you a better person by having your whole family, your grandparents around, your cousins, your aunts, you guys spending time together and getting to know each other?
I
Oh
think
yeah, I
so.
think the grandparents, they just as important as the regular parents because they help reinforce some of the values and the message that you're trying to get across to your kids. You know, you only can do say so much where it gets redundant when you're saying it to your kids. But if they getting the same thing from two different or three different people, it's better to enforce. And when you got a big family and they got aunts and uncles and cousins that's doing things in a positive way and they encouraging and they supporting them, that mean a lot.
Yeah, because
So
I
Michael
had Michael was just talking about that. He said we need to go on and have all the family come together and have a dinner or something. That's what he was saying.
said, so do you think that when you were smaller, I mean, when you were younger and all, I mean, do you? I lost my train of thought. Um, but I mean, is that something that you can like look back on and say that's what helped to make me a better dad? Watching my dad, treat my cousins and me and my. How many brothers and sisters do you have? Brothers? You have your twin. Do you have more brothers and
I had
sisters?
a sister, but she died.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
so
she was older than us. And my twin brother, he's still around.
okay, so that, and then you said the affection that your dad had, he would hug you, but it was like a
But
little.
you know what? And my sister, that was his. That was, I mean, we was the two boys, but my sister, he was like, oh, that was his baby. She sounded like a car that won't start. I'm like, Daddy, and he, You take off running to see what's wrong. I mean, this boy was messing with her. My father jumped out the house, ran down the stairs like O.J. Simpson down the street. Grabbed that boy. Don't you ever mess with my daughter again. That's what he said. The boy told his dad, but my father took him home. That's the time when parents,
Right.
a father, take you home to your parents and tell them what they did. And he took him home. And they said, man, don't mess with Mr. Haygood. He don't play. There's one guy tried to jump on my father. My father used to box in the Navy. And
Oh.
he laid my man out and drug him home to his parents and put him on the step. He said, your son disrespected me. The boy, his father went down there and started beating. He said, boy, get in the house, start whooping me. He said, Mr. Haygood, don't ever worry about this again. So he
Wow.
would see my father come down the street, he'd turn and go the other way, you know.
Yeah.
But he was
Right.
loving and caring. He just showed my sister more, like a father daughter relationship.
Right.
That was her first love, her daddy. Like
Yeah.
my daughter's. I think I was their first love. Not probably not now, but I was when they was little. You know.
Or
Yeah.
are
Yeah,
they have a significant other now? Is that what you're saying? They're grown.
they got
So
some sniffing and something. You know what I'm saying? They don't act the same. But like like my sons, they independent. They
mhm.
and they flying on their own. They still act like they little kids. My daughter sometimes.
So you spoil them. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I spoil all of them, but they just want to continue to be spoiled. And they 40, they still want to be spoiled. They still want me to, you know, no, don't say no. I said no to my oldest daughter. She ain't speak to me for a long time.
What?
Calling Michael on the phone. I see her. She getting in touch with Michael, and her name is Michelle. She ain't called me for a long time because I
Because you
told her
told
no.
her no.
Uh,
So I said because you told her no,
yeah,
and you've been telling her yes for 30 plus years.
yes, yes. And then I told her, there was no first time you thought I whooped her. You know what I'm saying? Her voice cracked and everything. I said, oh man, this is
I,
not gonna
I
be good.
I can relate to that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was you going.
It's hard to hear no when you've heard yes all your life. It's just hard. You're like, what? And you kind of like lose yourself. Like, what's happening? What's going on?
Yeah, you act like you couldn't hear the no.
Yeah, you
What did you
can't.
say?
Yeah, you can't. You can't.
So repeat that again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Oh, so Michael the second, you hearing Michael Senior say that he told your son, if there's anything you ever want to talk to, I'm here for you. How does that make you feel? And did you have that with your grandfather?
It make me feel good. Like I said, like they say, it takes a village. So, I'm not like you say. I'm 45 minutes up the way. So if he got a relationship with him and he getting support and he got an open ear with him, that make
Yeah.
my message even stronger, and it makes them have a bond and relationship. Where he can, he might want to call him and run something by him.
Mhm.
But as far as my grandfather, like I told you, you didn't need an invitation to go to their house. You can just pull up anytime.
Okay. So, do you have friends that are like you? I mean, you have your dad, you had your granddads on both sides. Are any of your friends when you're growing up, did they have that? Their fathers in their life and they know they can go to their dad and, you
Not
know,
a lot of them.
no. Did any of them tell you how much they envy you or did they ever say, I wish, my dad was like you or I wish I knew my dad? Did you ever hear any of your friends tell you, you know?
No, well, I came up when we came up. It was a lot of single parents, a lot of broken homes. So a lot of the relationships I formed with people I grew up with, you know, looking back on it, we had like trauma bonds where you bond with people based on circumstances and the environment that you grow up in.
Wow.
So, like I told you, when I was probably in my early 20s or mid 20s, a lot of my friends died from gun violence and different stuff.
Man.
So for
Wow.
me to just be turning 39 and, still have a relationship with my dad and have a son and My grandfather just passed away. That's a blessing in itself. I had a strong relationship with him, before he passed on.
Yeah, part of the reason I do this podcast, people don't realize how important men, but specifically dads, are in everybody's life, whether it's a woman or a boy, a man. You guys make such a big difference in our life, especially the safety factor. You know, I tell people all the time. I say it's nothing like living in a house with a man. No, if anybody knocks on that door early in the morning, late at night, you don't have to worry about it because that man will go to that door. He's there to
Right.
protect you. You don't feel scared in your own home. I just love that. I love the safety
Well,
factor. Man,
out of all my children, not to cut you off, Michael let me know my importance in his life.
okay.
He let me know it without even saying it, really. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? My son Brandon, they call him the professor. He's a, psychologist. So when I
Okay.
talk to him, I feel like I'm sitting on the couch, laying on the couch when I'm talking to him. And like, and then when I say something, he tell me, "Well, I think it's a better way to do this." And so I don't even say that because before I really want to like get my word in. So now I don't even try to get the word. I just listen. You know, and
He has a lot. I see a lot of uh, Michael the Third. Him and my brother got a good relationship, but they
Okay.
got the same temperament. Like when it comes to like talking to people, they more one on one people.
Michael let me know the importance of me being his father in his life.
Okay.
You know, and I want to take care of my health so I can be around and see little Michael grow up and be an adult and do adult things, and see what happened in his life.
All right. So that would be what you would look forward to in the future for your grandson, that you were around to see him develop into a
Yep,
responsible adult.
yeah, responsible. And I do a lot of praying. In fact, I prayed before the podcast come in. It was time for me to pray, and I always pray for him. I say a special prayer for him, and for the ones that need a special prayer. I say a special prayer for little Michael.
Okay.
So because I
And you
want him to
said
make it.
your dad was affectionate. You were affectionate, but your Michael the second is more affectionate than you. So you find it okay to express your love, telling him you love him, hugging him. Kissing and all of that. Is that okay?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what he does when I tell him I love him. He said, "Okay, yeah." I forgot how he said. Remember, he would say "back at you" or
I
Ditto.
say
"yeah,
likewise.
yeah,
Oh,
likewise." That's what he say. But see, when I tell little Michael I love you, he said I love you too. But his
uh,
daddy, I bet he tell little Michael I love him. I bet he don't say likewise to him.
Well,
what do
Do
you
you?
say?
Michael the Third, he was just a loving person. That's just how he came out. Like I
So
told you
he
one time, I was with him. Probably was a few years ago. We was in the grocery store, and he just jumped in my arms and gave me a hug. And he looked at me. He said, "Well, what? I missed you, man. I missed you."
wow. So what do you say when Mike says? Does Mike say "I love you" first, or you say "I love you" and then he'll say
No,
"I love you"?
I always say it first,
No,
and
I'm talking Mike the second.
Well,
Does
Michael, he's getting in his mode where he's cool. So he don't say it like how he used to. So like the last time he was over, I told him he couldn't go to this sleepover at this hotel. So the whole weekend he had this attitude. So I think the second day he started to open up a little more. So I gave him a hug, and he kind of gave me the the
a half
little
a hug.
the little pat. But then I said, that ain't like that. I said, you let a little party come between us. Then he gave me a real hug.
so? Do you say "I love you" and he say "I love you" back, or does he say "I love you"? Do you say likewise? What do you say to him when he says "I love you"?
I think I do it different every now and then. I say, how much you love your dad? He'd be like, a whole lot. I said, how much is that? Then he'd hold up his arms. I used to do that. So now, sometimes I drop him off and be like, I love you, man. He'd be like, I love you too.
Okay. But your dad gets likewise, huh?
Well, like my dad's funny. Like I remember like I had gave him this card one time, and he got all real mushy on me, and he hit me up talking about some. Do you really mean what you said in the card?
Do you remember that, Dad? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Wow.
kind of get me kind of messed up right now thinking about it.
Yeah. What's the best gift
Mhm.
you've ever gotten from Michael the second?
He always giving me something. I mean, I got this it's right here. Uh, he gave me this product cologne. I got so much cologne. I mean, expensive cologne that he gave me. You know that I wear, and I got the other day went to order some products, some health products. So I went to pay for mine, and the guy said, "Oh, it's all paid for." He paid for mine too. So I said, "Oh, man," I said, "Thank you so much." That's what I said. So I called him and thanked him. So
Uh-huh.
he be looking out. He be looking out. Uh, he always doing something for me. You know,
Yeah.
he the only well out
Well, they
of
get
my four
reciprocated.
children, huh?
That's what I'm saying. They get reciprocated. You know, I ask him a favor. I know a lot of people ask him for money a lot. So when I
Uh-huh.
call him, I can feel him taking a deep breath, and I'll be like, I need
Uh,
a favor. And he be probably thinking it's some money. I say, well, can you pick Michael up tomorrow? So he's, oh yeah, that's nothing. But he'll just pick him up. He take him, get him something to eat and
eat, yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah, spend a
you
little
don't get
time with
that
him. You
from
know.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah. So is that
yeah,
what
but
you use
he
when people call you Mike Senior? That they always like, can I get this? Can I get this
well,
amount? Can I?
it's about the Almighty. You know, the Almighty dollar.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I my grandson called, my oldest daughter son called, and he had just went off on me in a text message, and I was talking on the phone. He started like puffing up on the phone. So I said, he always said assalamu alaikum. I say alaikum assalam. So I said assalamu alaikum. I said I'll talk to you. I hung the phone up. Then he gonna text me, so what's wrong? You and your feelings? I said, man, you ain't gonna talk. So after all that, now months done passed. He called me, kept calling me. So I answered the phone. I told Michael that he was calling me. I said, "What's up, Armand?" He said, "Well, I'm moving to my new place. I need $200 to move into my new place." I said, "I can't help you. Let me call you back." And I hung the phone up. Then I called Michael and told him. So before I could call Michael, he was calling Michael, asking him for the money. But it's like you don't hear from them, but they want the money.
Right.
And then he
Yeah.
gonna go off on me. And I told my daughter, I said, I don't appreciate him bucking up to me like that. That's what he gonna do. Try to jump on me next. I mean, he done got to that point where he can talk to me like that.
Mm,
So I said, I don't be bothered.
yeah. Yeah. That what would have happened if he'd have did that to your dad?
My father,
Yeah.
oh, you can ask my twin brother Mark about that. So one day he was beating him. He had him by my father was like about 6'3", you know. He had him by his ankle. We had him one hand around his ankle, had him up in the air, his head was down, and his feet was in the air, and he was whooping him.
Mm.
So we was upstairs, and I ran out. My mother ran out, said, Lomas, you gonna kill him. I ran out, and we didn't have carpet upstairs. Then I slid right up to him. I was running so fast, I hit the brakes, I slid up. He said, "You want some of this?" I went, "No." He told me and my mother, "Get back, both of y'all get back in your room." You heard both of the doors go boom, boom. Just like that. So I went back in there. He came in there, crying and stuff. I said, "Man, I don't know what you did." I said, "But I ain't gonna ever do that." But he bucked at him.
How old
But
was
he played
he? 12 or 13?
probably about nine or
Whoa.
10.
Whoa. Had
And my mother
lost his
said,
mind. Oh.
"Yeah." My mother told him, "Stop." He told her, "Get back in your room." That's what he told her. He told me. He looked at me. He said, "You want some of this?" I went, "No." He told me to get back in my room too. So we heard both of them doors close.
Was that the last time your brother ever thought he could do what he wanted to do around your
No, I
dad?
think he got him a few more times after that.
Oh
Then my
boy.
father told him, he said, one day, he said, "You're gonna have some sons and they're gonna do to you, they're gonna do you worse than you did me." That's what he told him. He said, "I want to be around to see it." That's what he told him.
Wow.
And he was right too. His
Oh,
sons
they
did him
told
worse than he did my father. Me and Polly had that kind of. I ain't want one of them. I ain't want one of them. I don't know if you call it a beating or a whooping. I ain't want none of them. So I was like, man, so if I did something, I was sneaky, but I ain't gonna be caught doing that, and I ain't gonna be caught trying to book him, because I
Right.
remember his other grandfather, his nephew Roger, booked at his father. Oh man, I went over there to Roger. Looked like he was in a heavyweight fight. Both his eyes was closed, and he was sitting there. He said, "Hey, how you doing?" He was speaking to me, and the grandmother brought me in. And I went in with the mother. She was always cooking, so she had to play the greens and all the stuff, the food I'm not eating. And the father said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he was eating his food. He had a left hand. He ate with his left hand. He said,
Uh-huh.
"Sit down. And let's go and get something to eat." And then I looked at Roger. I said, "Woo!" And I said, "Man," I said, "Mr. Davis put a whomping on him. It looked like he was in a fight with like 3 or 4 people, and it was just one man whooping him." Yeah.
You know what's bad about that today? If you did that, they would lock you up for
Hmm.
you trying to teach your kid to be respectful, you know, and
And
that's
the thing about it, like my mother tried to stop my father from whooping my brother.
uh huh
His grandmother, they called his granddaddy Scott. She said, "Scott, Scott, stop, Scott, stop."
uh huh.
And he said, "Woman," he said, "you better get back." That's what he said. And he went to work on him. I said, "Woo." I ain't know my man because I said he was took boxing lessons or something. Because he put it down on him. And my man never messed with him again after that.
He was smart. He
He
was smart.
never messed with his father again. I said, you
Yeah.
remember that? He beat him worse than anybody beat him prior in his life. Because he was a street person.
Oh yeah.
So,
So had
yeah.
this is not possible. Had Michael or his brother ever raised their voice to their mother, would you have like put a whoop down on them to let them know you don't disrespect your mother?
Yeah, I would have.
Hmm.
But the only one that they never did that though. Their
Right.
sister Tamika did. You know what I'm
Oh
saying? I had to get down on her a few times.
wow.
I
But
Okay.
like
was
I
at work.
tell
The
little
mother called
Michael,
me at work, said, "You need to come over here and get her." I left work and I had to deal with her. She's still
Hmm.
talking about the woman's day, and she 40, what, 2 or 3? She's still talking about the woman like I just whooped her yesterday.
But I'm pretty sure she can remember the good stuff, the nice Christmas gift, the trips, the clothes, all other stuff, the cars that you bought for her and
Well,
stuff.
all my kids never wanted for nothing. I
Hmm.
mean, all their life they got everything they wanted and needed,
Yeah.
and that's the way it was. I took them to get haircuts either every week or every 2 weeks. They got haircuts, and if
Hmm.
they was going somewhere special, I got them a haircut. And if it was Easter and all that stuff, I went and got them suits and all that stuff. Had to make them the whole outfit. They ain't wearing no hats, but I would have got them a hat, a dress hat if they like hats at that time. But they just got a fresh haircut and a suit. But
Wow.
then I being Muslim, we after Ramadan we give gifts, so they was double clutching. They get Christmas and they say, "Hey, Ramadan coming to an end," and they tell me what they want. So I go get them what they want for at Ramadan. I said, "Man, they knew when Ramadan was ending before I did, and I'm fasting. I can't even eat." They knew when it was going to end before I did because they want them gifts. I
So
remember I gave Brandon $5. No, I gave him $5. He said, "Oh wow, this is beautiful." I think he was about like 6 years old, and Michael turned around and shook his head. He said, "Man, that ain't but $5." That's what he said. Yeah, he gave you $100 or something. That's what he said.
So, Mick, did you consider that being spoiled? Did you realize how blessed you were at the time? I mean, because that was your normal to always get stuff and never want. I mean, and then you see your friends who don't have their dad. Did you realize how special you were?
I think I was just in the moment.
Okay. You never
He used to give
compared,
his shoes to some of his friends.
huh?
He would give his shoes to some of his friends that didn't have shoes. I remember he
Mm,
gave some of his friends his shoes.
Well, that was as I got older. When I was a
Yeah.
kid, like between my father and my grandfather, I think that's probably I indirectly got entrepreneurship because they was always about making extra money. My granddaddy I was told that he had his own line service. Then once I got older, me and my cousin Junior, we my granddaddy gave us an idea to start our own line service. So us three was making money. I told you my dad had flowers and supplements, vitamins, different things like that. So I was always indirectly in the entrepreneurial hustler spirit, you know, going to the grocery store, helping people with their bags, shoveling snow,
When I got off the podcast.
whatever. You know, I was always about making an honest dollar,
Okay.
you know, just trying to get me a few bucks.
Yeah.
I used to I worked at retired from GM. When I worked at the plant, I used to sell pop juice and water, bean pies, dinners. I used to sell vitamins over there, and I used to, had a cleaning contract. I used to take it, Brandon the clean with me to the buildings. You know, I had some cleaning contracts, and I sold flowers. We was up on, I don't know if it was Valentine's Day. No, it was Mother's Day, and I had these big racks. The guy brought them up to 8 Mile of Illinois, next to the Baker's Keyboard Lounge. So it's a gas station right there. And so Michael helped me sell. So I told him, I said, how we go? I said, everybody can get $100 for the day.
Okay.
He said, oh yeah, that's pretty good. That's what they said. So Brandon sitting back, one of the racks, the wind blowing the rack right into Illinois. And Brandon sitting back, I'm waiting on the customer. I had to run, catch the rack for it flew out in the middle of 8 Mile in Illinois. So I told Brandon, you fired. That's what I told him. I said, get in the truck. I said, you ain't getting no money today. He said, oh, that's bold. That's bold. That's what he said. I said, you gonna let the rack fly out in Illinois? It could have crashed and messed everything up. I had like 20 plants hanging on this rack, you know. So I rehired him, you know, as we kept going, you know. I said, don't let that happen again, you know.
Had to teach you a lesson though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess watching you, what did you get from watching him be an entrepreneur, Mick? You know, like the ethics of working.
Just the work ethic, and you know, down the line, just learning, you know, the supply and demand aspect of, you know, taking advantage of those holidays and those special occasions when people in the mood to spend money, like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day. You know, I implement a lot of that into what I do with the clothing and whatever like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And also working at the plant, taking advantage of, you know, as far as clothing, working at the plant, wearing stuff to clothes, and, you know, wearing clothes to work and people seeing it, knowing that they get paid on Friday. So you wear something on Thursday, let them see it and bring it to them on Friday.
Okay. That's smart. That's smart. Yeah.
But he only one got the, well, Michelle, my daughter Michelle, she sell pastries.
Okay.
And she's pretty good at those pastries.
Yeah, she
Brandon, he
has
never
really
really
good
got into the
cheesecake.
entrepreneur thing, but Michael and her, they kind of got their own little thing other than their job and doing the entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
But I
that's
got it
how.
from my father. My father he was Jamaican. He worked all kind of jobs. You know, he paid for his house in the 50s. He paid his house off in the late 50s, early 60s. He paid his house off. You know,
Wow.
and and he, you know, like I said, he kept working. He kept my mother in a new car. He buy her a new car. He take the old car and make sure she had the new car. You
Yeah.
know, and she, you know, I got about 8, 10 bags of I got about 100 dresses over here now. I need to go get rid of, and about another 50 at the other house, my parents' house that I'm selling. But my
Okay.
father kept her together, you know, because
Yeah.
she was a Jehovah's Witness. She always went out in the service out, and he kept her with dresses and stuff. And the women used to say, "Oh, well, that Lomax really take care of you." That's what they were saying. And then one of them said, "I wish I had a man like Lomax." That's what he said. And my father said, "Man, sure." He said that some women something else, but he, like I said, he stayed with my mother. But them women, they would let her know. They would like, you know, be real nice to my father 'cause they knew how he was with her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How did he meet her? How did they meet?
He went to the Kingdom Hall one night. All right, he wasn't no witness, and he saw her. He said to brother, he said, "Who is that?" He said, "Oh, that's Sister Bernice Mitchell." He said, "Oh man," he said, "I got to meet her." So they started going out, and then they probably dated for a few months, and So he took her. Then he brought her home. He said he cooked some chicken and stuff, and they ate at her auntie and uncle's house, and he made dinner for them. My father did, and then they got to talking and stuff. And I think we went even 6 months. They went to Toledo and got married. And then he
Wow.
stopped being a Joe Witness after that. That's all you got your prize. You went to the place, got your prize, and quit going. And he started laughing. That's just what he did, though.
How long were they married?
50 some years when he died.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
She would tell that story a lot too before she passed.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. As soon as
So
he
they'd have
got
been
married,
married like,
he stopped going to the hall, huh?
yeah, he quit going. And the guy would kind of get him and go to the hall. He said, I don't want to hear that. We told him. He said, we can talk about anything but that.
He said, "I got what I want from the hall."
Yeah. Yeah, he ain't played
Now
that
you
one.
said you're a Muslim. How did you end up not being a Jehovah Witness?
Well, if you look at the pull up some of the stuff on the internet about the Jehovah's Witnesses, how they ran into a lot of legal trouble, how they
Okay.
dealing with people, they don't want you to be part of the world. How you
Oh,
not gonna teach don't be a part of the world, and you got to be a part of the world to make it in society. They didn't want
okay.
the kids to go to college. I had a friend that he could have went to college. He was good at Kettering High School. He could have went probably to one of them colleges and probably went to the pros. Excuse
Uh,
me. But his parents didn't want him to go. And so, working at GM, but like I said, he could have had something different to do, but now, they got a big split. A lot of people are leaving them now, because of
did you
the,
did you get to choose though? I mean, or did you have
no,
to?
they made us go.
Okay. Okay.
My father didn't go, but he made us go. I said, "Nick, can I stay with you?" He said, "No, you go with your mother." So he made us go. And, but he's staying at home. I said, "Sure, why can I stay home with you?" He said, "Uh-uh." He said, "You go with her." So
Okay.
we had to
Because he
go
said,
like
look,
three times a week.
yeah, because he said so.
Yeah. So, I brother took me to the mosque, and I heard Farrakhan speak about the prodigal son. And he talked about how his son was on drugs and how he went to all the drug houses looking for a son. So I heard the lecture, and I said, "Man, that's powerful." And the brother kept taking me back to the mosque. So I said, "Man, I like this." So I started going to that, and then I found out it wasn't what I needed at the time because of the it wasn't about separation, but you had to be around other people that's not like you to make it in the society. In your job. Some white guy cut me off when I left the mosque, and I zoomed up on him. I was going crazy, cussing him out. Calling him all kind of names. Because he wasn't even wrong. His family was like, "What's wrong with that guy?" I just left the mosque. They talking about all that fire and brimstone, and the person is a devil, and all that stuff, and I said, this
Wow.
is too erratic for me. So the brother
Yeah.
introduced me to mainstream Islam, and
Okay.
I enjoy that.
Right.
That's what I switched over to, and it's peaceful. It's what I needed. It's like a tailor-made suit for me.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I don't know if your volume went down again, but that's cool. I'm straining to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But
Oh, don't worry about it.
we don't come to we don't come to this part. I call it my final five, and these questions were for Michael the second. But if you can answer this too, so my first question is, how did you feel the day your son was born? So Michael Senior, you answered that. How did you feel the day that Michael the second was born? And then Michael the second, you tell me how you felt the day that Michael the third was born.
Well, I'm gonna share this with you. I used to drink, all right, and when I was holding him, I probably was drunk then. You know what I'm saying? And I looked at him, and I said, "Oh man." I said, I got to be around to see him, you know, because when his mother had him, we had Providence Hospital, and I heard this woman cussing and hollering, and I'm in the other room, and this preacher came and said, "Hey," he said, "your wife sure is cussing in there." And I went out and looked, and his mother named Evelyn, she just laying back there, just rubbing her stomach, laying back, rubbing her stomach like this. And that
Mhm.
was the preacher had the collar on and everything, reverend. I said, "That's your daughter, preacher." And he came and he looked. his woman, she said every cuss word that you could say, and he looked at me and just sat down and turned his head. His daughter was cussing like that, but when I saw him, I said I got to be around to see him grow up. I got to
Right.
change my life, and that's what I did.
So he saved your life, basically, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
because I
Okay.
saw him grow up. I saw him go through the rickets, and I saw him come out. And like this is the product right now. This is the I ain't gonna say it's the finished product because we always working on ourselves, but
Right.
this is a product that he's still working on. It's a better product. I put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a better product too. Yeah,
Right. We all are healing and growing and getting better. Yeah, we're all like getting better every day. So
yeah.
Michael second, how did you feel when you saw Michael the third coming out? You know, when you saw him, what was your thoughts?
I was overjoyed. Well, similar to his story, I was going through a transition. Um, the end of the following year, 2010, I had lost my best friend to gun violence. So I
Oh,
was kind of spiraling. So once I found out, he had passed on, I had some decisions to make. I was about to be a father, going into fatherhood. So I didn't want to make, no revengeful bad decisions, then. So I had to kind of get myself together, and I kind of had to put off my mourning of my friend to get my life and get my mind and, ready to be a father. So when he was born, it was like the mark of, a new beginning for me, and a sign that, to straighten myself up and be ready to receive him and be there for him.
okay. All
Because
right.
like
Number
when the guy got murdered, Michael and Tony was gone in Atlanta, and that was God's grace that he wasn't around at the time.
wow.
Because if Michael was here, he probably would have been with him.
Wow. Wow. All right. Number
Yeah.
two. What's the best advice, Michael Sr., that your dad gave you? And then Michael the second, what's the best advice that Michael Sr. gave you?
The best advice I gave him,
The best advice your dad gave to you.
uh, well, he told me to concentrate on my life, and when I he told me to save money, not to do illegal things. Um, he told me to take care of myself, like physically, and 'cause he taught us how to box when we was little, because he was a boxer, and he told us, to do right and don't do wrong, he stressed that, because I remember my brother lied to him. He said, if you lie, he's a liar will steal. And a liar will steal, they'll kill. He would always say that. That was one of his phrases. But he taught me how to save money and the work ethic about working and providing for your family, and doing the right thing. He was always into that. You know, uh, One guy came to my father, asked him about doing something illegal. He said, "Oh no, I ain't doing that."
Mhm.
So the guy called him on the phone and told him that. He said, I'm not doing it. He said, I don't do stuff like that. He said, oh man, excuse me. He said, oh man, you the henpecked. He said, you know what? He said, get off my phone. You don't even have a wife. He went bam. Back then you can hang up on people with the phone.
Yeah.
He went bam and hung up on him. He's gonna call me henpecked because I don't want to do nothing illegal. He
Right.
said, 'cause, my mother didn't run my father. He was he did what he, but they discuss things, but like I say, he always will tell you what to do right. Just like both of his grandfathers always talk to me about doing right and about straightening your life out and keep it straight.
Right.
They always say the way you start is the way you want to finish. You
Mhm.
know, if you start wrong, it's gonna end up wrong. I let
Right.
him go on and say what he gonna say about.
All right, Michael the second.
Well, I say some of the best advice I got without even being given advice was showing me that you can have a good quality of life and as well as having a sober life. You can have things and still be sober and still still be yourself, still be cool, still have fun. That's probably one of the greatest lessons I took as of late.
All right. Number three. What is your proudest accomplishment?
To me,
Yeah, you first.
uh, well, one of them, I got to see all my children grow up. You know, and basically all doing good. So I think that's one of my proudest accomplishments. You know, that my children basically healthy and they doing good. Um, and I got to witness that because I know a lot of guys and women they didn't get to see the children grow up.
Right.
And become adults. I was at this dinner. There was an older Muslim brother, and about five of his kids were sitting at the table. He said, "I
Mm.
be doggone." I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Look at all my kids." He said, "All my kids are senior citizens now." They was all in their 60s.
Hmm.
He like 80 something.
That's
And he
beautiful.
said, "All my kids are senior citizens." And and that would be an even greater accomplishment to see my kids become senior citizens.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah.
What about you, my brother?
I think my greatest accomplishment is probably having my life somewhat together before my grandmother passed, because she always spoke highly of me to my face. She would always tell me and behind my back that I was destined to do great things. All I just needed to do was straighten myself out and believe that. So I think like hearing her words, I can still hear it today, and to be headed in the right direction and be inspiring to do something different, something better. I feel like that's an accomplishment.
Okay. All right. Number four. Um, if you could choose to get married one day, what would your dream proposal be? And now, Michael Senior, are you married now? Okay.
you know, uh, my ex-wife called me this morning and told me somebody stole her car. All right. And
Okay.
so, uh, in my mind, I was thinking, I said, I believe in, what you put out, what you get back. I believe in that.
Karma.
She, if she had it her way, I'd be back with her.
Okay.
I had a friend named Greg, he one of my best friends. He used to always tell the women, "I love you strong like a barbecue bone." He would tell the women that. But, basically, I was just, I think I'm a romantic. I give her some flowers and tell her, how much I care about her, and I think that if we came together and did this thing right, that both our lives would get better. You know, I probably would say some things I wouldn't say on the podcast, but I would let her know that it'd be me and her. Like that
Okay.
record, what's that record? You and Me Together Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably put on one of them songs or one of them Barry White songs, and let Barry White say the rest of it for me.
All right. Number two. What would
I
be
What's the question again?
if you chose to get married one day? What would your dream proposal be? Now they show uh
I always
people.
had a vision of being out to eat, and then I would tell the waiter, I'm gonna fake like I'm having a heart attack and go tell her there's something wrong with me. Then I'll be leaning down and she come and reach on my shoulder. Then I come up with a ring.
Oh,
Ah,
that's cute. All right. My last one is a fill in the blank. Um, so this is personal to you. So to you, Michael Senior, the key to happiness is blank. Fill in the blank.
to me, the key to happiness for me is to be happy with yourself.
Okay.
To take care of yourself first. Make sure that you are functioning properly, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and financially, where you can be independent and you have yourself together where if somebody needed you, you could share something with them, but it won't take away from you. But what I'm saying, for me, I had to save myself first, before I save my family. Because if I don't save myself or protect or make sure that I'm good, then I can't be there for nobody else. I hope that
Right.
answers your question.
Yeah. Well, it's
Okay.
no right or wrong answer, but it's just what you think happiness is.
Hmm.
Happiness. Okay,
Yeah.
Mike.
Well, if I'm happy,
Uh-huh.
that's a beautiful thing. If
Right.
I'm happy with me,
Right.
and I'm happy with me. I
Okay.
talked to a friend that came from New York. He a bodybuilder. He wanted me to get back to the powerhouse gym. I said, that's what you do.
Right.
What I want to do for myself, I'm gonna go to LA Fitness or somewhere else. I want to go to Powerhouse Gym. You know,
Okay.
and I tell you that this is a quick short story. I used to watch wrestling all the time. People would talk on me like, "Oh, you watch wrestling? Oh, what's wrong with you? Crazy?" Then I thought about it. Wrestling makes me happy. I
Right.
laugh. So it's certain things I watch on television that
Hmm.
make me happy.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, this will make me happy, and that's what I'm gonna do to make me happy. I think that's a better answer.
Hey,
Hmm.
there's no right or wrong answer because we're talking about how you feel,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
what you think other people would feel. We want to know how Michael Senior would feel,
Well,
and that's
that make a lot of stuff make me happy.
right.
A good movie, a nice meal, peace. You
Yes.
know, not being married to my ex-wife no more, peace. That makes me happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm being honest. I'm happy. I'm like
Okay.
my man, cause I'm happy. For real, yeah. For
My
real,
brother,
like
you know
like I'm
this
happy.
is live. It's being recorded and it will be
I
on
know it.
YouTube.
I'm being for real.
Okay.
If she said it, she just said. I'm telling the truth. Like earthquake, these ain't jokes. This for real.
Okay. Michael second. The key to happiness for you is blank.
The key to happiness for me is just keeping stuff simple. I'm not a sunny day. You know, my favorite fruit, some music. Being around people I like, love, care about. You know, just keeping it simple every day. That's happiness for me.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, very much. I appreciate your time. Yep, it's been very
I
informative.
appreciate you inviting us to be with you for this evening.
Yes, sir. My
I
pleasure.
separated myself with some people because this was important, to me. Because
Okay.
it might not be important to them, but this was important for me to be here.
I'm glad you feel that way. I'm glad you feel
Yes.
that. And of course, like this year, I plan to have another Father's Day luncheon, and I hope you guys will attend
It
along
was
with my.
awesome, man, and I
Oh, I
definitely will
enjoyed
attend
myself. I had a
again.
good time.
Yeah, I just feel that you guys need to be celebrated. I mean, people don't real. I realize how important dads are, in the lives of their children, and I just want everybody else to know you guys matter a whole lot. You make a big difference in our lives, and I just want everybody to know that. Yeah.
And,
So,
We
and I say this
appreciate that and
at the end
appreciate
of the
you.
day, our
thank you.
relationship is a two-way street. It's not one way because some relationships it's a one way and that's it. But our relationship is a two-way street. Where we
Yes.
both can pull from each other and add to each other. And I realized the importance of him being in my life and him not being in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in to Real Dad Speak. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube.
You need to send that so I can like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe.
Ah,
Make sure you tune in to YouTube every Tuesday, 7 p.m. A new episode comes out, and you can also find us on Spotify. Thanks for joining us, Real Dad Speak.
and we are.